The central, rewarding discovery of later life is that the purpose that sustained you through decades of career and family life is only the prerequisite for the second, more profound mission you are now uniquely qualified to pursue. Today, we're diving into what might be one of the biggest and most misunderstood transitions we face, finding a real, deep sense of purpose after 60. And look, this isn't just about finding hobbies to fill the time. It's about uncovering a new, more powerful reason to get up in the morning, one that's built not on what you do, but on who you've become.
Just take a second and let that quote really sink in. For so many people, the end of a long career or a shift in family roles feels like an ending. It can feel like you've lost a piece of your identity, your direction, the whole structure that defined your life, the morning commute, the weekly meetings, the school pickups, it's suddenly gone. And in that quiet, a big question pops up: what now? But here's the thing, that feeling of being adrift, it's not a sign your best days are over. It's the signal that you're ready for what's next. The stage is just being cleared for your second act.
And this is the core idea we're digging into today. That feeling of emptiness isn't a bug, it's a feature. It's a recalibration. You're not empty, you're actually undergoing a psychological upgrade. The new purpose you're searching for is totally different, it's deeper, it's more personal, and honestly, it's a lot more resilient than the one you had before. It's a move from a purpose that was often given to you to one that you get to choose for yourself. So in this explainer, we're going to give you the blueprint for that upgrade. It's a framework called the Generativity Mission Protocol, and it's a practical guide for putting your lifetime of wisdom to work for lasting fulfillment.
So here's our roadmap. First, we'll look at why this new purpose is actually stronger. Then we'll explore what we call the Great Purpose Shift, the psychology behind what's happening. Next, we'll define your powerful new mission to transfer wisdom. After that, we get really practical with the step-by-step Generativity Mission Protocol. We'll talk about how this builds resilience for the long haul. And finally, we'll wrap up with one simple, concrete step you can take this week to get started.
Okay, so what is really going on during this stage of life? It's not just a feeling, it's a structural change in how purpose even works. Think of it like this. Your internal operating system is getting a major update. The old software, which ran on external goals and rewards for 40+ years, it worked great, but it's being replaced by something new, something designed for a totally different and more meaningful set of tasks. The old programming was all about building. The new programming is all about sharing what's already been built.
This slide lays it out perfectly. On the left, you've got extrinsic purpose. That's the world of salary, job titles, and getting that pat on the back from others. That purpose was mostly defined by the outside world, your boss, your company, what society expected. A lot of it was duty-driven. You did it because you had to, right? To pay the bills and climb the ladder. But on the right, that's the new operating system, intrinsic purpose. This is driven by your own choices and your own sense of meaning. Success here is measured by internal satisfaction, not a performance review. It's not about what you get, it's about what you give. It is 100% contribution driven, and the best part, you are the one in charge. This shift from external to internal is the most important change happening under the surface.
The psychologist Erik Erikson actually pinpointed this exact transition. He called it the crisis of generativity versus stagnation. Now, crisis here doesn't mean a catastrophe. It just means a turning point, a fork in the road. Generativity is that powerful, natural drive to create and guide things that will outlast you, mostly by helping the next generation. It's about planting a tree whose shade you know you may never sit in. Stagnation is the other path. It's that feeling of being stuck, disconnected, and just not contributing. So choosing generativity isn't just a nice idea. It's a psychological must-have for a healthy, fulfilling later life.
And this is exactly what happens if we don't choose that path. We hit what's called the unstructured time paradox. For decades, so many of us dream of the freedom of retirement. No more alarm clocks, no more deadlines. But when that freedom finally arrives, if it's not filled with a new, self-directed mission, it can turn into anxiety, boredom, or even regret. An empty calendar, which once sounded like a dream, suddenly feels like a burden. Without a generative purpose giving you structure and meaning, that freedom feels more like a void than a gift. And that's why finding this new mission is so important.
So, if stagnation is the problem, what's the solution? Well, it's actually pretty elegant and incredibly powerful. Your new mission is to become a transfer agent for the most valuable asset you have, your wisdom. You've spent a lifetime collecting it, and now is the season for distributing it. This is the heart and soul of generativity. Your value is no longer about your productivity, it's about sharing your unique perspective.
And this is the real aha moment. For the first part of your life, purpose was mostly about acquiring. You acquired skills, experience, relationships, stuff. You built a career, a family. Now, the logic of purpose does a complete 180. It's no longer about acquiring, it is all about transferring. It's about giving away your non-material wealth, all your unique experiences, the hard-won lessons, your practical skills, your perspective. This is the new work, and it just might be the most important work of your life.
Let's look at this definition a little closer. Creating or nurturing things that will outlast the self. This is about legacy, but not like a statue in a park. It's a living legacy, passed on through people. Guiding the next generation could mean mentoring a young professional, sure, but it could also just mean teaching your grandchild a skill, or sharing family stories so they know where they came from. And contributing to the betterment of society could be volunteering for a cause you care about, or starting a small project to help your neighbors. It's purpose that creates ripples that spread way beyond just you.
Now, to make this mission a success, there are 3 key things you need. First, the wisdom audit. You have to take stock. What are your unique skills? What have you learned about life? You have to actually define what you have to offer. Second, intrinsic engagement. This can't be a passive thing. It has to be an active, scheduled pursuit. Purpose doesn't just show up. You have to build it intentionally. And third, reciprocity of contribution. You have to find places where your wisdom is genuinely wanted and valued. Purpose is a two-way street. It's about both giving and having that gift be received.
All right, so we've covered the what and the why. We get the big shift from extrinsic to intrinsic purpose. And we know the mission is to transfer wisdom. But how do you actually do it? How do you go from this inspiring idea to a real-world plan? This is where we shift from theory to a practical, step-by-step blueprint. The solution is a structured and frankly safe framework called the Generativity Mission Protocol, or GMP. And that word protocol is important. It's not just a vague suggestion. It's a repeatable process to help you discover, test, and start your new mission without getting overwhelmed. It gives you a clear path when you're staring at all that unstructured time. So the protocol has 4 clear steps. Step 1 is that wisdom audit, just figuring out what you have to offer. Step 2 is the 10-hour Generativity Test, a low-risk way to try things out and see what really lights you up. Step 3 is defining your mission metrics, basically figuring out what success feels like when it's not a paycheck. And Step 4 is scheduling the Purpose Anchor Block, which makes your mission a non-negotiable part of your week.
Let's zero in on Step 2 because this one is a real game changer. The 10-hour Generativity Test. This is all about experimenting without fear. Instead of signing up to volunteer somewhere for the next 5 years, you just commit to 10 hours. That's it. The goal isn't to become an expert in that time. The goal is to collect data on yourself. After those 10 hours of, say, helping at the local library or an animal shelter, you just ask yourself one question. Did that give me a real sense of internal satisfaction? If it's a yes, great, explore it more. If it's a no, you just move on and test something else. There's no failure here, only learning.
And now for Step 4, which is all about making this real and making it last. The Purpose Anchor Block. This is a protected, designated time in your weekly calendar that's just for your generative work. Maybe it's every Tuesday morning, 9 to 12. And you treat this block with the same seriousness you would have treated a huge business meeting back in the day. The act of scheduling it does something really powerful. It tells your brain, and everyone else, that this isn't just a hobby. This is your new, important work. It creates the structure you need for it to stick.
So, once you start this process, once you find your generative mission and build it into your life, what are the rewards down the line? This is where we see the true power of this psychological upgrade. This new kind of purpose builds a deep, lasting resilience that can handle whatever life throws at you.
I mean, think about it. Your old extrinsic purpose was pretty fragile, wasn't it? It depended on your job, your title, the economy. It could be taken away by a layoff, retirement, a market crash. But intrinsic purpose, it's resilient. It's built on your choices and your internal drive. Nobody can fire you from mentoring a young person. No recession can lay you off from your community garden. This purpose is yours. It comes from the inside. And because of that, it's a stable anchor in a world that's always changing.
And that resilience leads to the ultimate psychological reward, what Erik Erikson called ego integrity. This is pretty much the grand prize of a life well lived. It's the state of deep peace and satisfaction that comes from looking back at your life, the good, the bad, all of it, and seeing a story of meaning and value. It's that feeling that you contributed, that you mattered. It's a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you spent your time well. And the most direct path to achieving that feeling is by embracing generativity. It's the work that makes the whole story make sense.
So if there's one thing to remember, it's this. If you're feeling adrift, if you're feeling that lack of direction, the answer isn't to look backward at what was. The answer is to look forward, with intention, toward what you can give. Generativity is the active, powerful cure for stagnation. It's the engine that keeps you growing and engaged with life.
Okay, we have covered a ton of ground here, from big psychological ideas to a practical 4-step plan, but none of it means anything without action, right? Knowledge is just potential. Action is where the power is. So let's bring all of this down to one simple, immediate step you can take to start this journey right now, this week.
I want you to ask yourself this question right now. After everything we've talked about, what is your very first, very small step into this new mission? Don't worry about 5 years from now. Don't even worry about next month. Just think about this week. What is one small thing you can do to put your wisdom into motion?
Here it is, a simple 2-part challenge. First, identify just one unique life skill you have. It doesn't have to be some professional superpower. In fact, it's often better if it's not. Maybe you're amazing at handling tricky family conversations. Maybe you grow the best tomatoes on the block. Maybe you can fix anything with duct tape. Pick one thing that you just know. Second, commit to finding one small way to share it with someone this week. Give that advice to a struggling new parent. Show your neighbor how you prune your roses. Tell a younger friend about a classic movie and why you love it. This isn't about changing the world overnight. It's just about starting the engine of generativity.
So as we close out, let's bring it all back home. The big goal in this chapter of life is a shift. A move away from that external, fragile purpose based on what you do for a living to an internal, resilient purpose based on what you have to give. The most helpful tool we have for that is the Generativity Mission Protocol, that simple framework for defining your wisdom and scheduling its transfer into the world. And maybe the most reassuring thought of all is this: by actively choosing to transfer your life experience, you guarantee your enduring relevance and you secure a final chapter of deep, rewarding fulfillment. You don't become less relevant with age, you become more essential. Your second mission is weighing.